we got to talk about Tucker Carlson. The story says that he and Fox agreed to part ways. That could mean he quit. That could mean he was fired. That could also mean they genuinely came to an impasse and decided to part ways. But there's rampant speculation as to why. I guess we'll go down the list of theories. I mean, if you get your news from Quartering, of course, he had a terrible headline where he seemed to blame AOC. It said
I'm
something
surprised.
like Tucker Carlson fired after AOC complains about him, like as if they're related. They're obviously not related.
I'm waiting for the Tim Pool headline that says,
Well, I'm
Fox
watching. I'm
lost
watching
lost
his. Oh, Fox lost
yeah,
a billion
Fox lost
dollars.
500 five
Yeah,
hundred million or half a billion dollars.
all right.
Yeah.
His one just says Tucker Carlson is out right now. It is a shock. So let's go down the rabbit hole of why people think this is happening right now. One easy dot to connect is that Fox recently had to settle their lawsuit with Dominion for 700 million or whatever, and a lot of people think that that created some fallout. Number one, maybe Fox doesn't have a lot of money, or number two, there were some documents and texts revealed during Dominion where Tucker Carlson was bad mouthing Trump, bad mouthing Fox executives for the way they handled the 2020 election and claims that the election was rigged, et cetera, et cetera. So there is that theory. I don't know how much credence I lend to this theory because this is not new stuff, right? These proceedings have been in the works for a while. Yeah, everybody has known, and especially people at Fox. People at Fox would know even earlier about. They would just know about this, and I don't really give much credence to this idea that this settlement means they don't have the money to pay Tucker Carlson now. Like, if it's your number one talent, and even assuming he costs a little more, what is the difference we're really talking about? 10, $20 million a year? That's really not a big deal. That just doesn't sound right to me. It just doesn't seem like it has a lot to do with Dominion. There's another. Basically, the Washington Post said it has mainly to do with the bad things he said about Fox management. And if you go online, you'll see some people say it's about the fact that he platformed anti-war voices and just was kind of a maverick even at Fox. He would platform people and say things that weren't exactly towing the company line. But again, this is nothing new. This is just who he is and how he's behaved. Why is it right now an urgent, sudden need to fire him? I'm not seeing that. And keep in mind, by all accounts, he behaved as if, everything was normal just Friday. Fox behaved that way too. They were just sort of running ads for his show. It didn't seem like anybody thought that there was a sort of impending doom or impasse coming. They just behaved as if everything was normal. And all of these potential explanations, they've long been out there. So I don't know, it's like any breakup. If you can kind of see it coming, you can sense in people's behavior that starts to change towards the end. It leads up to it. It's not nobody knows. We just have to wait for some leak or something. My best guess is that this isn't a very solid theory because he just signed another contract in 2021, but perhaps that contract wasn't for a long time. Maybe it was only for 2 or 3 years, and they're in the process of negotiating his next contract. And if they're very far apart on money, and also maybe he was asking for other things like extra influence or power or the leeway to do things the way he wanted. Like the texts that were revealed in the Dominion suit, they indicated that Tucker Carlson thought certain things that he didn't necessarily say out loud on his show. Like he felt certain things about Trump. He didn't like Trump, but you can't say that on Fox. Maybe he was agitating for the ability to speak his mind freely, and Fox, that's just, it's not even a money thing. That's just something they can't allow. And so perhaps there was a negotiation, although that just seems weird to me that there's a 2 or 3 year contract. Usually a contract would be for longer than that. And that would make sense to me if he was renegotiating contract and they just suddenly decided, hey, this is clearly not going to move forward, or he potentially could really secretly want out of his contract. He maybe thought that the grass was greener somewhere else, or if he went independent, he could make more money and also retain way more control over his own product. So maybe he didn't even want to. Maybe he wanted out of the contract with Fox. He just, he was negotiating in a way such as to just tank it. And then at some point, people just agree, hey, this is not going to work, so we may as well divorce right now. I guess that's possible if you believe he only had a 2 or 3 year contract. The only other possibility, which nobody else has talked about, and if it wasn't Tucker Carlson, I'm a fan of Tucker Carlson, and a lot of the people that I follow are fans of Tucker Carlson. So if you weren't also inclined to like Tucker Carlson, and someone just presented this timeline to you, probably the first thing you would assume is that they found something out suddenly and very recently that was a fireable offense, such as something terrible like sexual harassment or just something really bad, right? If someone is just suddenly fired and everything seemed okay the day before, I don't know. People wouldn't tie it to some lawsuit that's been going on for months and months and tie it to the type of work you do that you've been doing for years and has been getting awesome ratings and production for your company. They wouldn't say, "Oh yeah, now they want to fire him." No, they would probably say he did something that they just found out about that was so severe and is a fireable offense. And to save face, they wouldn't say he's fired for X offense because maybe it's something that they can't prove necessarily, but he doesn't even want them to do an investigation. He doesn't even want that. Like, all parties would be better off if they just said, "Oh yeah, we're parting ways," and just left it vague. They don't want to go into the ugly side of it. That's probably what you would conclude if you didn't know the names.
Yeah, none of these are that satisfying.
Well, I mean, if he committed an act that's a fireable offense, it does fit this timeline of events, doesn't it? I mean, if they have to fire, or they've just got to part ways, and it's sudden. They thought everything was fine last week.
Mm. But
They
you
don't
know,
want
everybody,
they don't want more questions due to an investigation. They just want everything to be done.
does that ever really work though? You know, you just fire them and then people never ask like why.
Well, if both parties agree not to talk about it, yeah, it can work.
Mm.
And then people will just speculate that it was about Dominion or whatever, which maybe Fox is fine. And here's another thing to keep in mind. I know that the people we follow seem to think that, well, Fox is done. The stock is like, if you watch Jeremy, the stock is tanking down to zero. Fox will no longer be a going concern, et cetera, et cetera. However, if you own Fox, if you run Fox, your outlook will maybe be a little bit different because you can remember, like, you're not a goldfish. You can remember longer than 5 minutes ago. So try to remember that Tucker Carlson got this time slot in 2017. And do you remember why? You don't really following politics in 2017, so you probably don't,
No,
right?
no. Was some other guy get the boot?
Bill O'Reilly had a sexual harassment thing. He had to leave.
Hmm.
But Bill O'Reilly was essentially Tucker Carlson in 2017. He was the biggest at Fox. He made the most money. He had the best ratings, and it was probably viewed as very painful and devastating to lose Bill O'Reilly at the time. They replaced him with Tucker Carlson, and Tucker Carlson has even better ratings than Bill O'Reilly. So if you are, a person who has a longer memory, you might, and this is not to say they're right or wrong to believe this, but you might think that Tucker Carlson is not this irreplaceable giant that, if you are reading Twitter today on April 24th, you'll be led to believe by people on Twitter. This is not to say that I don't think that it's a big loss, and I don't think that Tucker Carlson will go on to do great things and be big somewhere else. It's just to say that this notion that Fox is shooting itself in the foot, they don't necessarily view it that way. Maybe they do, but maybe they also feel like they can weather this because they have weathered similar things in the past. And if you have a moderately long memory, you will know about this. So it's possible that they think they can replace him, And if I had to bet whether they could replace him or not replace him, I would bet that they can. Will that person ever be as cool as Tucker Carlson or just exactly like him? No, but they might be appealing in their own ways, Just like Tucker Carlson was appealing in his own way, but different than Bill O'Reilly, and he got even better ratings. It's not impossible.
How much of the team do you think stayed over from Bill O'Reilly? Like, how much of Bill O'Reilly's old team started making the Tucker Carlson?
I don't know, but I think it's very little. I think Tucker works with his own people, and he has his own style. He doesn't his talking points are not the same as Bill O'Reilly's at all. So I think that he's got his own thing. He even shoots his show in Maine, right? He doesn't even work in New York with other Fox people, I think, right? So he's got his own team and his own thing going on, and it was fine. It replaced Bill O'Reilly just fine.
So in the WAPO article, it says his executive producer Justin Wells is also leaving the network. So does that, I don't know. If it was
Sounds to
just
me that
sexual harassment or something, why would, Justin Wells also leave?
that would be, well, that could suggest that it's more money thing, and that, Tucker's team said we're going to go follow Tucker. But they could also be following Tucker if he was fired, right? It's not as if he was fired. If he was fired for cause, it's not as if his team would lose faith in him and say, well, he's not going to be successful in his next location, which of course he will be successful, by the way. If he just does his own podcast or has a YouTube channel or goes to another network, wherever he goes, he has a following, he's going to be successful. I don't think that necessarily indicates anything as far as why he was fired. I do think it indicates that his team is loyal to him and believes that he will be successful wherever he goes.
I don't really buy the money thing because of how sudden it was.
Yeah.
I think I read somewhere that even on Friday he had said, see you on Monday or something.
Yes.
I don't know if that's true.
That's why it just feels so sudden. But then none of the things that people are talking about most as possible explanations satisfy the suddenness of it. All of these things have been out there on the table for a long time. I have to think that if people were preparing for a breakup and girding themselves for a breakup, their behavior would sort of change leading up to this moment. But it doesn't seem as if any of them, maybe they're just good at pretending, but it doesn't seem like any of them, their behavior changed like it was leading up to a divorce.
How much did Tucker play a role in with the Dominion lawsuit? Like, was he making accusations?
No,
or no?
He really wasn't. The only role he played was saying bad things about Fox management, and there was a text where he said he really hates Trump, but that has really nothing to do with the Dominion case.
Okay.
And also other people were saying the same things. Fox is not firing all those people, right? Oh, it's very puzzling. I don't want to think.
Also, the money thing also. It feels like Fox has more to lose, right? It's pretty risky. I think Tucker probably
I agree.
brings in...
I think they would just pay him.
Yeah,
if it was
exactly.
about money. But it might not just be about money. He may have wanted more influence or autonomy, and maybe that's something they couldn't bear, because he is a very independent. He doesn't necessarily agree with Fox on everything, so maybe he wanted more autonomy. Now, we seem to think, our impression is that he has plenty of autonomy. He talks about whatever he wants to talk about, but maybe that's not true.
I also feels like he's got plenty of money.
But when you make a certain amount of money, you want more often, right? I mean, lots of us have plenty of money, but we still want more, relatively speaking. I think, we acclimate to what we have. If you make $30 million a year and you feel like you're worth 60, well, you kind of feel like people are taking $30 million out of your pocket, right?
He should go talk to Crowder.
I think that if he just did his own thing, he would be huge. He'd just be the next Rogan, He could be Rogan easily. Maybe even bigger, honestly.
Yeah. And they should replace him with Jeremy or Tim. Can you imagine Jeremy being on Fox News?
It would be terrible. It would be an embarrassment. Quartering can't even pronounce certain things correctly. It's just embarrassing. Like, why did you not? You could look up how to pronounce things on Google, and you had time to prepare for this segment. So why did you not do it? I don't understand. It feels like the first time he sees an article sometimes is when he records a segment, which, I mean, we do that sometimes, but I mean, we don't make money like Quartering does. He really should be a little more professional. He should view everything at least twice before.
Did you read up on the Don Lemon thing?
No, but that's totally different. He's just a loser, and he's not even making money for CNN. So they could easily get rid of him because of all the baggage, the misogynist takes and all of that. And he's just baggage for them, and he doesn't even make them money. Nobody cares that he's fired, and he's not going to make as much money elsewhere. So I don't feel bad for him. And it's not comparable. It's not, the same kind of thing.
Quite a coincidence, though, is it not?
It is. I think it's just a coincidence, though. I don't think CNN and Fox are part of some larger conspiracy to, no, I don't think they communicate on this sort of stuff. I mean, the only thing that's possible is that people at CNN knew that maybe Fox would be firing Tucker or letting go of Tucker or parting ways with Tucker. And they said, well, let's let go of Don Lemon, so nobody talks about that, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
That is the only possible collusion that I think is going on here.
Yeah.
Oh, here's the other thing that's hilarious to me. Like people dancing on his grave, like on The View, you had the fat women cheering that Tucker Carlson was let go or quit or and it just shows how low IQ they are or how desperate they are to, find something to pander with. Anyone with the brain knows that this is no negative impact on Tucker Carlson. He'll probably be bigger than ever with the freedom to do more of what he wants.
I
You're
think
still going to
money.
hear from him.
Yeah, I think money wise, yes, but I feel like he's gonna lose some part of the audience that he won't be able to
He'll lose some of the
recapture
Fox
later.
audience, but I think he'll gain even more audience not being tied to Fox so much. I think he'll pick up audience with younger demographics because he's not
Yeah,
tied to Fox.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, younger, but then he'll lose some of the older.
Yeah. But he's certainly not irrelevant now and he's not quieted, so there's no reason to cheer if you hate him. He's not going away. Dumb. They're just dumb.